Alright guys, so today we're doing probability. We've been looking at, we looked at permutations and combinations, and now we're going to actually be looking at probability. So we're going to actually have a little bit of fun with this eventually if we want. Some things you need to know. First thing you need to know is some definitions. You got an outcome. Outcome is the result of a single trial. Okay? So you try something one time, whatever happens, that's the outcome. The sample space is if I'm going to do something, whatever all possible outcomes are, that is what the sample space is. The third one is an event, and an event is any outcome or a group of outcomes. Complement of an event consists of all outcomes in the sample space that are not in the event. So remember, a sample space is all possible outcomes, okay? And an event is a group of outcomes or an outcome that we're looking for. So the complement would be whatever's not in the event but is in the sample space, okay? Our odds, it's the likelihood of an event as a ratio. And now we're going to look at what's called theoretical probability, which is what we're going to be really mostly working with, okay? So this is what would be represented by the probability of whatever the event is. That's going to equal the number of favorable outcomes divided by the number of possible outcomes. Okay? So let's go ahead and let's look at question number 1. So it says, what is the probability to rolling an even number? Okay, so you have a dice, okay, one dice, and it has the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's it. Okay? So out of these numbers, it wants to know what is the probability that if I roll a dice, I'm going to get an even number. Okay? So I would represent that by probability, and our event is that it's an even number. Alright, now let's take a look at a couple of the definitions. Okay? So our event, then, the event is roll even number. Okay. The sample space, I'm actually going to abbreviate sample space, SS, is what are all possible outcomes? Well, all possible outcomes are all these numbers. Okay. The event is the roll an even number, or you could say 2, 4, 6. All right. The complement to event then is everything that's in the sample space that's not in the event we're looking for. So that would be 1, 3, 5. All right. Let's look at some of the other definitions. So the outcome would be whatever we get when we roll the dice. We talked about the sample space, we talked about the event, we talked about the complement. Now we're going to look at the odds. So what are the odds? Well, the odds are this right here. It's the probability of the event. Okay? Now remember, the probability of the event is the number of favorable outcomes. So when I look up here, the outcome would be how many different chances do I have of rolling an even? Well, I have 1, 2, 3 chances here. Okay, so this would be 3. And the bottom is the number of total possible outcomes, which I could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 possible outcomes. This is our probability. And now you simplify, and that's 1/2, or 50%. Okay, so the probability, if I roll a dice, and I am looking for an even number, the probability I get an even number is 1/2 or 50%. Okay? So now let's look at number 2. Our solar system's 8 planets, in order of least to greatest distance from the sun, are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. You will randomly draw one of the names of the planets and write a report on that planet. What is the theoretical probability that you will select a planet whose distance from the sun is less than the Earth's? Okay? So, We are looking for probability of, I'm going to write closer to sun. All right? Our sample space is all the planets. All right? So you have Mercury, I'll abbreviate some of these. Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Okay? So there's my sample space. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. All right? Now, my event, okay, the event then is the outcomes that are going to fit with my question. So it says how many, basically the event is the number of planets, or each planet that is closer to the sun than the Earth, which would only be Mercury and Venus. Okay? Which means the complement to the event is going to be every other planet. So Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Okay? Now we're going to look at the odds. Okay? So the odds, again, are the number of favorable outcomes. Well, I have 2 outcomes that are favorable, that are going to fit with what I'm looking for. And I have 8 total outcomes. So I simplify this, and that's 1 over 4, or 25%. Okay, so the probability of picking a planet that is closer to the sun than Earth would be 1/4, or you could call it 25%. Okay? This stuff here, I am just saying it so that you guys will get the hang of it. You'll get the idea of what I'm referring to. Okay? Example number 3. In a taste test, 50 participants are randomly given a beverage to sample. There are 20 samples of drink A, 10 samples of drink B, 10 samples of drink C, and 10 samples of drink D. What is the probability of a participant not getting drink A? All right, so we have the probability of not A. All right, so my sample space then, I'm going to abbreviate some of this, is going to be 20A, 10B, 10C, and 10D. Okay, so this would be like writing drink A 20 times, drink B 10 times, drink C 10 times, drink D 10 times. Okay? The event then is that I am not getting A, which means I'm going to be getting B, C, or D. Okay? So the event is not the 20 A's. Which means the complement then would be that I do get the A's. Okay? So when we do this, all right, the percentage, okay, so we don't want to get A, which means I need to look up how many outcomes where I don't get A. Well, there would be 10 here, 10 here, and 10 here, which would be 30 over, and I had 50 possible, which is going to simplify to 3/5, or 60%. Okay, So there's a 60% chance that I will not get A. There is a 40% chance then, or a 2/5 chance that I will get A. All right? Make sure you write down any steps you have, write down any questions. Probability can be difficult at times, so make sure you write down any questions you have, and then I will look for questions tomorrow in class. We'll have a worksheet tomorrow. Have a great night, and I will see you guys tomorrow in class.